The process of survival is one of addition, but in the spiritual process of finding true happiness, it's a process of subtraction. Survival is about the physical world of eating and breathing and taking things into the body. But when we try to use these physical inputs and many other physical experiences to create happiness, it doesn't last. It doesn't really work long term. And to the degree that it seems to work even short term, it really is an illusion, because it's all a relative thing in relationship to pain and or suffering. In other words, physical happiness, experiential happiness, is all in contrast to the times in our lives that aren't as physically happy. And so we're always comparing the good times with the not so good times, because we couldn't recognize the good moments based on our physical external inputs. We couldn't recognize them unless we had some contrasting, difficult, painful moments that we have been suffering. Whereas true happiness coming from within, it's ubiquitous, it's continuous. The source of true happiness is more profound, more fundamental than the external stimuli that we seek to create some temporary enjoyment or happiness. And so the process of subtracting the interpretations of our experiences, subtracting the negative judgments against certain circumstances in favor of others, is the road to true ubiquitous happiness, or really even bliss. As I've talked about before, the baby is in bliss, but as we take on more and more worldly experiences and understandings of our separation from the world and what's us and what's the world, we start to get so caught up, especially in the modern Western culture of consumption, we get so caught up in our physicality and our individuality, whatever that is. We get so caught up in it that we get confused about sources of survival and of happiness. And to think that just to survive better, have a bigger house or fancier vacations, that's the physical world, is not a road to happiness that's ever going to end. It'll just keep going on and on, because again, you're just contrasting the fancy vacation with the drudgery of work. It's all in contrast that creates these momentary. With spiritual practice and looking within to see, why is it that it's so difficult to really enjoy all the moments, even the moments that are typically labeled as undesirable circumstances, why is it that we don't have a appreciation, a feeling of energetic vitality that is more energetically significant than any kind of stimuli that comes through our senses? And I guess it's like the bodily sense that this here and now is a holy space, is a holy energy, is a holy moment, is really the best way to describe the bliss or energy of unconditional happiness that we all have the ability to experience if we can just subtract everything in our minds and our assumptions. If we can subtract these things that are standing in the way and covering up our natural blissful state. And this morning at the Wednesday morning devotional worship practice, we were looking together, it's kind of like a mini Bible study. We were looking at the phrase, "Be still and know that I am God." And really, what does this passage mean from the Bible? To me, it means just subtract all the noise and release all of the unnecessary, really survival-based information and concerns and so on. Release those to find that stillness between the thoughts. Find that stillness that is the context of life, not the content. The content is about survival. The context of life is love, is God, is our ultimate source of our creation. And when we have a more and visceral and more personal experience of this context, then we can find true happiness that is almost unshakable by external situations. So I would invite all of you, if you have some resonance with these ideas, just take it on in a way that you're ready to just find out what is it that you need to subtract today. What little thing, even if it's just a tiny thing like being annoyed at a red light when you're driving somewhere and you're looking forward to being where you're going, maybe a little tiny thing, noticing that it doesn't really help to get there any faster, to be annoyed at the red light. Little things like this, to find additional moments of peace, and by subtracting the energies of chaos that the mind is sometimes in the habit of being in. So please, again, if you resonate with this video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me comments and questions to help me continue with this practice of sharing. And subscribe to check out my future videos.